Hey, Doug. So today we're going to talk about things I find interesting about the 10 millimeter. So I am a nerd, um, full blown. So I am more of a practical application nerd than a nerd in the engineering or things like that. But through my practical use of in this case, firearms, my observations have shown me that I need to understand things on a deeper level to get what I'm looking to get out of my guns, out of them, if I'm not willing just to trust every manufacturer to put out the best product they possibly can. So with my practical interest in firearms in the field predominantly or in life led me to developing an understanding of firearms on a deeper level so that I can actually understand what's going on and what things affect the things I care about: reliability, accuracy, usability, all the things. So I originally I decided not to even buy a Glock 20, which obviously that's not how things went. I originally decided I wasn't even going to get one. I was talking to my wife about it, and I was like, right now, as we're getting the business online, it probably doesn't make sense to add another pursuit. We're already in the process of testing the barrels and such. We have all kinds of testing to do on the things we want to produce. We have a lot of stuff going on already, and the buying a 10 millimeter to test this nuanced thing probably doesn't make sense, even though I feel pretty passionately that I need to do it. And my wife said, basically, she challenged the idea and said that we probably should get one. If you're feeling that way about it, it's probably a good idea. And men, listen to your wives. Because what I didn't realize was once I started messing with the 10 millimeter, I was going to come through with questions or observations that were way more valuable to me than the ballistic performance or anything that the 10 millimeter traditionally offers you. So, and I want to share those things. I want to share those things as well as the things that traditionally I just think are pretty neat. But the thing I want to put forward first, which is the thing that I learned after getting my hands on a 10 millimeter. So my buddy in Idaho, who I love, he is a friend of mine. He introduced me to the practical shooting, the performance shooting stuff. I had used to be of a mindset where the tactical stuff, it's gunfighting, not shooting, that's stupid. But I didn't think it was stupid before. And he is the gentleman that introduced me to the performance side of things. And it's changed my life as a shooter. It's changed my wife and I's experiences as a shooter. It's made our marriage better. It's really interesting. If you and your wife can pursue something together, it will improve your marriage. And performance shooting has taken shooting. It's made it harder, as far as like you're more focused, you are more frustrated at times, you are more challenged to push yourself harder. But there is a very definitive, simple process that you're following for that pursuit. Simple, not easy, right? And it's made it much less stressful for us to work together in that pursuit. Very interesting stuff. Not what we're talking about right now. But so I bought the Glock to do testing on, to say, hey, if I'm going to be recommending people to carry the 9 millimeter, I better be more experienced and have a better understanding of what I'm recommending people to do. Because I live in Alaska, and these people, that if they trust my opinion and my guidance, they very well may find themselves looking at a grizzly bear with their families behind them. And I don't want to give opinion as fact to those people if they're trusting me with this advice. So even though I've been making that decision for myself and my family to use 9 millimeter in bear country for quite a long time, caveat, if I'm actually worried about bears, I'm not bringing a handgun. I'm bringing a rifle or a shotgun. Just how it is. But that's not practical for all people. And we'll talk about the bear thing specifically. This is not a video like that, so don't take this information and run out and buy whatever thing. Like, that's not what this is. These are big conversations. These are big decisions that you have to make. I mean, this is the safety of your family against an animal that will eat the people you love if you let it. So don't look at this stuff lightheartedly. It's deadly serious. Regardless of how rare it is, it's not rare if you're the one getting mauled. It's a 100% chance you're getting mauled if it's happening to you right now. So yes, this stuff is is being killed by a bear the most likely thing to kill you in the woods? No. Should it be your number one priority when you go into the woods to cover? No. Is it something that will kill you right dead if you don't give it due respect and you are statistically unlucky? Yes. So anyway, bears are not the discussion point in this video. The reason I got the 10 millimeter was to do testing on the 10 millimeter versus the 9 millimeter and to have more experience to talk to other industry professionals in such a way that I could not waste their time. So that was the reason we bought the 10. That and exposure for people, whether they're customers or our clients or of ours, if they want to shoot a 10 and get an idea of what they're giving up or what they're choosing, if they decide to go that route versus the 9, or when they decide to go with the 9 rather than the 10, I want them to be able to make that decision for themselves. So this is an exposure piece for people as well as other platforms the 10 millimeter will be. But once I got the 10 millimeter, my wife and I started digging in on the history, which I've already been, familiar with the history. But talking about history when you have a piece of it in your hands, or when you can physically see the boxes of ammunition, when you can physically see the velocities listed on packaging that reflect the FBI light loads or the normal loads, or you understand what the original normal loads were, seeing all that stuff in your hands and talking about it, researching about it, way more interesting. So the history thing's super interesting to me. It made it more interesting for my wife, which is really cool because when you learn about the history of 10 millimeter, you learn a lot about the history of Glock. You learn a lot about the history of Smith & Wesson. You learn a lot about the history of a lot of proximal things. And the 10 millimeter was kind of a big deal for a while. Tying all that together, it brought us to the 40 Smith & Wesson. It brought us to the implementation of Glock in law enforcement. It brought us to the eventual coming back to 9 millimeter and then Glock's ability to push those back into the FBI, back into law enforcement, where now you're seeing Glock 17s in the holsters of people 10 years ago would have been mind-blowing. So really interesting stuff. That's interesting for sure. But that's not what I really want to talk about. 7 minutes and 23 seconds in, and that's not what I want to talk about. The most interesting thing that I have found about 10 millimeter is nothing to do with what it's offering you ballistically. It's just proximal to that. When I was talking to my buddy about this handgun, and I haven't shot this live yet. Again, this is an introductory video. I have shot 10. I just haven't shot this 10. I was talking to him about, hey, like, should I introduce a little bit more tension into this? Should I allow for tension into this? Or should it just be the same thing with more recoil? And as I was talking to him about this, it occurred to me that me shooting this 10 with, we'll call it full power loads, is probably very similar to Brianna shooting this Glock 47 with full power loads, or any other smaller frame shooter. And if I look at my hands versus her hands in size and length, when I grab this gun, it feels how it feels, but when she grabs it, it feels how it feels to her. And I bet you, me holding this gun versus her holding this gun is probably not a 1-to-1 ratio. Like, obviously, I'm feeling different things than what she's feeling in her hands. But her holding this gun in her hands, her smaller hands, is probably very close to how I feel holding this gun. And how she perceives the recoil of full power 9 in this gun is probably pretty close to how I perceive the recoil in this gun. And then it occurred to me, wow. Now, when I say training tool, I don't necessarily mean I'm going to use this handgun to develop my skills and then go and shoot this handgun for real. What I mean is, for a training tool, to train my brain as an instructor, as someone that helps other people understand these things, I think there may be, and this is a hypothesis, not a statement, but there may be something to getting good with a larger frame, heavier recoiling platform for me as a relatively full-size man. I'm like a Glock 19. I'm like full-size, but like not quite, right? I'm a skinny guy, but I'm like a little bit, I'm like average height, like 5'10 and a half, like almost exactly average. So like full-size-ish. Like the Glock 19. It's the average full size because it's like super popular, but like it's not full size, right? So anyway, so for me, this is my bomb diggity, right? So I have the 45. This is my normal carry gun. So this is what I'm used to. But when it comes to taking what I'm used to and giving it to a smaller frame shooter, our experiences are not going to be the same with what we're feeling in our hands, how we perceive recoil. Obviously, my exposure recoil, I can't do anything about that. I can't make myself more timid just by shooting a slightly larger, slightly more powerful handgun. It's not going to work that way. I've shot however many rounds I've shot them. So can't take that back. But I can have a larger gun in my hand. I can have the problem, or not really the problem, but the circumstance of having to figure out how to get my smaller hand proximal to the gun, right? To work on this further away trigger, further from the web of my palm. I can say, okay, well, I have to tweak how my pressures are on my hand. I have to be patient to wait for the gun to return when I'm shooting reactively. Reactive meaning that I acquire my sight picture, shoot, and I react to the return of the sight picture. I'm not predicting that it'll return to a known quantity. Like if I've shot, let's say I've done a bunch of doubles and I'm familiar with how this gun recoils, I can, with a high level of accountability, predict where this gun will end up. So I don't need to boom, sight picture confirm, boom, sight picture confirm, boom. I can shoot boom, 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 and I know predictably how this gun will behave because of how much I've shot it and how consistent my inputs are, right? So predictive versus reactive, that's kind of what that means. So anywho, I see this as an opportunity to put myself in the smaller frame person's shoes and see what things I have to adjust and hopefully tweak my understanding of what other people are experiencing with this handgun, the 47, 45, 19, to a different extent, the 43X, the 48. Obviously, those are going to fit the hands smaller, but they're going to have a little bit more recoil naturally with their slightly smaller size. So, goodness gracious, if I found that interesting as heck. And I do find it really interesting. So, one of the things I made sure of when I was buying ammunition, I bought a series of boxes. I'm going to chronograph it. I'll make videos for it. And I'm going to find a FMJ ammunition for training that behaves similar to full power 10 millimeter, and I'm going to train with that, and I'm going to take it seriously because I think it's incredibly relevant to gain exposure from the perspective of a smaller person shooting a normal gun by being a normal sized person shooting a larger gun. So let's say this is a smaller frame shooter and this is the size of the gun compared to them. Well, I'm here, right, with the normal gun, so I'm stepping it up. So relationally, there's a similar difference between me and the Glock 20 versus my wife and the 47, or anyone else's wife. So when I'm talking to them, I can have perspective of kind of how they're perceiving things and feeling things to some level. Obviously, I'm a boy; they're not a boy, unless they are a boy, and in which case, then cool. But obviously there's males that are smaller framed or younger or less experienced, and they're going to have similar problems, right? This isn't a sexism thing. It's just a reality thing. If you're smaller, your hands are smaller. If the way that you perceive the gun in your hands is going to be different. That doesn't seem too controversial. But yeah, I found that super interesting, and I wanted to put it up here. If you guys have experience with this, I'd love to hear it. The 5 of you that'll probably watch this. But it's something I've become aware of. It's something I'm really interested in. So I'm going to set up these handguns exactly the same. They're probably both going to get Vortex Defender STs. That's 1, to keep things consistent, and 2, to test that optic, because we're planning on using that optic for what we're doing, for at least the entry option for what we're doing. And these will both get the sights removed as well. That's a joke. So the 20 less so than the 47. But if you go on and read in forums about bear stuff, they'll say to follow your front sight down so that it's less painful when the bear takes your gun away and shoves it up your... So we're going to take the sights off of these after we, see how the sights shoot or whatever. Once we put dots on, sights are coming off, and that's more of a joke about the that'll follow your front sight down. So they will be bear approved so that when the bear takes your gun from you and shoves it up your... It is a more comfortable experience. Now, the X300 on the front of the gun is going to be a problem. That does not look like this alone, right? Like, this is weird, but the geometry is not so bad if you remove the front sight. Like, that's not the worst thing that could happen to you. That sucks, right? Like you're getting a way more diameter, way less. That's just not good, right? Glock was pleasant enough to angle the frame right there to kind of chamfer it right there. So this is a bear gun all the way. It is from the beginning of the fight to the end of the fight when the bear takes your gun and shoves it up your. This gun is optimized for that unfortunate last experience you may have on this beautiful created earth. Less so with this gun because there's this standoff, but that's maybe a good argument for the 45 where you can't see it, but this is all flush, so you have that nice consistent chamfer. If you take the X300 off, maybe don't use the X300 for bear defense so that that last part isn't so unfortunate for you. Joking, of course. Hopefully you guys enjoy this humor. It's kind of dark, but we're talking about killing here, so we can be good, fun people and still just keep things in perspective and be chill about it, right? With that being said, hope you guys have, for those of you that this is relevant for, that find this stuff interesting, I hope you enjoyed this video. I look forward to having you around. Feel free to share your experiences, your opinions, whatever you want down in the comments. If you have things you want to see tested between the 10 and the 9, definitely let me know because I'm super open to that. We're going to be doing this as well as we can with our resources, limited as they may be. But I'm interested to see what you guys have to say. Shalom.